On today's question of faith, how does Holy Week make us holy? Hey everybody, this is Question of Faith. I'm Deacon Mike Hayes. I am the Director of Young Adult Ministry here in the Diocese of Cleveland.
And I'm Father Damien Ference, the Vicar for Evangelization.
All right, so if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing glasses because I just came from the eye doctor. My eyes are dilated. I can't take the light.
That's the worst. At least it's not too sunny today. It's kind of a rainy day, so...
True. And my eyes are healthy, so that's a good thing.
That's good.
I have a weird optic nerve, apparently, that they have to watch. So we keep
Weird is
watching
okay.
it. Weird is okay. That's right.
I need to make my appointment with my ophthalmologist because my dad was legally blind. He had macular degeneration, glaucoma, and cataracts.
Oh,
so
wow.
I need to keep an eye on my eyes. They say there's 4 things you do to keep your eyes healthy. Don't smoke, eat a lot of greens,
Yeah.
exercise, and always protect your eyes from the sun. So wear sunglasses outside. So I do all those.
I do all those too, yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Have to exercise a little more, but other than that.
Yeah, maybe once a year I'll smoke the hookah.
So here we are, Holy Week already. First Holy Week for me as a deacon, so I'm getting ready to chant the Exultet. A cantor will assist me in the chanting, so that's good. So I don't foist my sort of mediocre voice on the people of God.
Yeah, it's not so much your voice. It's can you read music and hold the tune and make it not sound terrible.
But our music director, Mayumi, is very good at kind of keeping us on pitch. So she'll play like a chord or two, and then we'll take it the rest of the way. But we've been practicing pretty hard. So
there's some deacons who are excellent at singing the Exultet. I learned a little bit from my chance of the liturgy class in the seminary, but I am not great at it, so it's better that someone else does it. And I'm covering in Talmage on this Holy Week, the Easter Vigil. So someone else will be proclaiming the Exultet. But
nice. So how does Holy Week make us holy? What are ways that you found Holy Week making you holy?
Yeah, I think entering into it with all you have. I mean, we could be minimalists and just go to Mass on Easter Sunday and say, I met my obligation. That's one way to do it. But if you want a minimalistic faith, that's a good way to do it. But if you want to get more out of your faith and enter more into it, then participate in these liturgies, because these liturgies form us to be who we are, and we enter in deeply into the Paschal Mystery on Holy Thursday night, and then continuing on through Good Friday and through the Easter Vigil, which we've talked about this before on this show. It's one long liturgy that extends over 3 days, and I think that's the way you become holy, is by entering into the very life of God through the liturgical life of the Church with our brothers and sisters who also gather at varied parishes for these liturgies.
Yeah, Holy Week's a stretch when you think about it, right? It's what you say. It's one long liturgy, so it's 3 days, which many of us probably aren't used to. And then I think for me too, I'll do 2 pilgrimage walks like we did last year. I won't be doing the Sagrada Familia one, which I do recommend people do on Good Friday.
Yeah.
And we'll put notes about all of these things in the show notes, but. Holy Night Hike on Holy Thursday. After I finish at St. Chris, I'll drive down. I'll probably have to drive to half of them and maybe walk the ones in Tremont to get them all in before 11.
Yeah.
But people will walk to 7 different parishes. And last year, that was actually a stretch for me. I remember getting up to the top of the hill at St. Wendolin and sort of limping my way into the church. So pilgrimages are supposed to be hard. And, the 7-mile walk, right? So that was a little much for me, but it was good. I did it, and it was a lot of fun. And you think about this as you're going. We're not just having a conversation and talking, but how are we kind of walking our own road to Calvary?
Yeah.
What are the ways that we do that with Jesus? So I think that's good. St. Chris does theirs in Rocky River, so I'll be doing that on Good Friday this year.
That's nice.
Which will be great, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few places that are doing pilgrimages. So I had Mass Sunday night at Holy Rosary at 8 p.m., and I think they're doing a pilgrimage after the liturgy. Maybe it's in the evening throughout Little Italy with the cross, a procession that way. A lot of parishes do living stations that evening with their youth groups. I know that that's the case.
We did that on Palm Sunday. just the other night at St. Chris.
And if you're listening on Tuesday the 15th, which is tax day, know too that tonight is the Chrism Mass here in the Diocese of Cleveland. So this is the night that the bishop gathers all his priests together. In fact, we gather together this afternoon. There'll be a big convocation. There'll be a few talks. There's confessions available, and then there's dinner, and then Mass with the bishop and the whole diocese at 7 p.m. Those 3 oils that are used throughout the year, the oil of the catechumen, the oil of the sick, and the sacred chrism are made or blessed at this Mass and then given to the parishes to go out for the year. And some parishes, if they want, can take the option of processing these oils up at the Holy Thursday liturgy. And often someone who's being confirmed or brought into the church will have the chrism. Someone who's been anointed that week or is still suffering from illness brings up the oil of the infirmed. And someone who's a catechumen can bring up the oil of catechumenates. So,
nice.
It's a nice thing to do.
That had not been part of my regular Holy Week practice in the past. Until the last year I was living in Buffalo, I went for the first time. And then I said, I should go to this more often. And then since I've been here in Cleveland, I've gone every time. So.
Do they have it on Tuesday night in Buffalo?
They do,
okay.
Yes.
Because some
same
parishes,
way we do it, yeah.
Some dioceses have it Thursday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So Rome does it that way. And
Yes.
I went to the Chrism Mass there once in Rome. But it's easier for the priests, especially since our diocese is rather large, to gather the priests on Tuesday, because that makes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday very long if they have off on Thursday morning. We all need our rest.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Do you bless food on Saturday or anything?
My first parish, we did not have deacons at that time, so I did. And that's a very big Slovak tradition. As a kid,
Yes.
we'd always take our baskets to the church for that. But I am not doing it at the cathedral now that I'm parochial vicar. I don't know if one of the other parochial vicars is or Deacon Matt, but I do believe we do food blessings there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Father Klebo will do it at our place. I did it one year at in North Olmsted at St. Brendan's.
Nice.
I did it while I was in formation, which was fun.
Cool. Lest I neglect this, we should say that in the bishop's new pastoral letter, it's on page 12, talking about how Holy Week makes us holy, he has this beautiful reflection in here. He says, let's think of the stations of the cross. There are 14 of them. They depict the suffering that Jesus endured on Good Friday. So, yes, most of us are familiar with the stations of the cross and that this is what Jesus did. And the bishop wants us to be more personal with the way that we reflect on these stations, because Christ's paschal mystery needs to be united with the mystery of our lives. So then he continues, now think of your own life. When have you felt abandoned and condemned? When have you fallen? Who comforted you and wiped your face? When did you feel like you were being crucified? Who has helped you carry your cross? If you can answer these questions, then you can start to tell your story, because you realize that Jesus was living his paschal mystery in you through all these events in your life. The mystery of your life is illuminated by the paschal mystery of Jesus. But the paschal mystery doesn't end with suffering and death. It ends with the glory of life renewed and resurrected. So I think that's a integral component of this pastoral letter, is that Christ's paschal mystery cannot remain something abstract. It's not like Jesus is a character in a novel and we're like, oh, that's cool, or something that happened 2,000 years ago, period. It did happen historically, but he is risen and continues to live his paschal mystery and desire to in us every day. And it's on us to allow him to do that. So that's the point of Holy Week, is that we enter into Holy Communion with Christ himself through his passion and then can experience his resurrection.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the interesting thing for me about Holy Week is that, like you said, the resurrection happened. Not only is it a historical fact, but it happens. But we now have to live into that. How do we experience the resurrection? And I think the ways that you were sort of pointing out, by meditating on the stations of the cross, making those part of our lives. I've been trying to kind of get through the corporal works of mercy this Lent, which I'll probably fall just a little short, just because I can't get into the prison just yet. And we didn't have too many funerals at St. Chris, so I haven't buried the dead yet. So those two, I've done that before though, but still.
Yeah.
But But by experiencing through that, how do you now live into the resurrection? What are the ways that you're called to die and rise,
Right.
Over and over again in your own life?
If you can find those places in your life where you've experienced suffering, hurt, and pain, then go there, because that's where the Lord wants to heal and bring you through to experience his resurrection. So a lot of times, those parts that are painful are the parts that we run from, when in fact that's the whole reason the Lord came, was like, I want to enter right into that, to your deafness, your blindness, your paralysis, your death, your hunger. Like, get in touch with those things, because that's where he wants to enter in and do his transforming work and share with you the power of his resurrection. So that's the hope.
I have to say, I really experienced that last year, not necessarily during Lent, but I think that it was just before ordination. We had our ordination retreat, and I spoke with Father Dave Woost, was our retreat master, and one of the things that I said to him, I said, I have a really hard time. Someone really betrayed my trust in my life, right? I won't get into the whole situation, but someone really betrayed my trust, and I really had a hard time getting past that. Mm-hmm. And he said, on ordination day, he goes, I want you to get to the front of the cathedral, and when you get to the vestibule, give those people who betrayed you to God. And he goes, admit that that's hurtful, right? Admit that this is it. Now give them to God and rise to new life and go and be a deacon. That was the best advice I think I've ever gotten from anybody. And Deacon Del Sherman and I both said that when we walked in, we just felt this huge wave come upon us. And I said, that's really the power of the Holy Spirit in more ways than one, with the way I was able to kind of let all these things go. And then, the sacrament of ordination in and of itself.
Yeah. You want to experience great life, then certain things have to die and go, and that's how it happens. So it's good.
Exactly. Again and again. Do you have a favorite moment from all the Holy Week ritual?
I think it depends on the year.
Yeah, good point.
Bishop has me preaching for him at the Good Friday liturgy at the cathedral this year. So I'm hard at work praying, thinking, preparing those words, because I love that liturgy. And I was actually looking at the 10 petitions that we pray during that.
Yeah, I have to
I like
chant
those a lot.
Yeah.
I love the one for those who don't believe in God. I think that's wonderful that we
Me too.
are that intentional about our prayers. So I don't know. Whatever I'm doing at the time, I try to make that the most important thing. But my mind is on a lot of things, because I'm at St. Francis de Sales for Holy Thursday, Cathedral Good Friday, and then down in Talmadge for the Vigil. So we'll see. Wherever I go, try to do my best there and, follow the Spirit's lead. How about you?
Yeah, I have to chant. So Holy Thursday, I'll be present, but I'm not, I'm just being the deacon. I'm just reading the gospel, basically, in the intercessions. And I'll probably assist with the washing of the feet in some way. But then on Good Friday, I just chant those intercessions. And then Saturday, carry the candle and do the Exultet. And I've accompanied the OCIA people this year, so that'll be very special. Yeah. And I've never seen, we do full immersion baptism at St. Chris at the big baptismal font, and so I've never seen that. So that'll be very cool for me to experience. And I'm preaching Easter Sunday morning at 10 o'clock.
Wonderful.
Which I was surprised at. I was surprised they asked me to do that. So I'm excited to preach on Easter. I've never preached as a deacon, obviously, on Easter. So this will be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking and praying about that as well. So,
yeah, there's a lot of scripture to ponder and to reflect upon. So,
and I love the vigil, and I love when the parish does all the readings. It's the story of our salvation, right?
Yeah.
It goes from beginning to end, and I just kind of get into it. I really love the Abraham and Isaac reading. I think that's one of the best readings that really talks about how we can be faithful to God and how we have to trust God above all things. So I always look forward to that reading in particular.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
when we talk about dying and rising, your website might be dying, and it might need to rise to new life. And you know who could help us do that?
Briefcase Marketing.
Yeah, they're the folks, and they're our sponsor. They make sure your church doesn't have scattered messaging or a bad website.
Briefcase Marketing creates marketing for your church or church-based ministry that inspires action and delivers results.
They will clarify your message to attract the right audience. Briefcase Marketing streamlines your website to convert visitors into customers, donors, volunteers, parishioners. They'll create consistency to build trust and deepen your relationships across every marketing platform. That's your emails, your ads, your social media, all that stuff.
And if you need proof, Briefcase Marketing gets great Google reviews. They've done superb work with our friends at Theology of the Body Cleveland and St. John Cantius Parish in Tremont. We'll put samples of that work in our show notes and make it easy for you to check them out.
Recently, they did Womankind, which is just a really great looking website. I really love that, and I love their message as well. So with a clear message and a compelling website, Briefcase Marketing will help you get more donors giving to your mission, more volunteers ready to serve, more people sharing your message and being their advocates for you.
So visit their website. That's briefcase.marketing. We've got their link in the show notes, or text 308-627-1262. And our pal Dan First will take good care of you at Briefcase Marketing.
Briefcase.marketing. Check them out. All right. So now you're at 3 different places.
Correct.
Holy Thursday, you're at
St. Francis de Sales, Parma.
Uh-huh.
Good Friday. And then I'll go to the Holy Night hike that night. So
Correct.
visit those 7 churches. Right. Friday, Cathedral. Saturday, Our Lady of Victory in Talmadge.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will be at St. Chris the whole time. I'll be at Holy Night Hike after I finish at St. Chris. I'll look around for me there. And then I'll probably start at St. Wendlan's, I think, because easier to park.
Yeah, there is good parking there.
Or maybe I'll start at St. Emerick, because you can park in that little cul-de-sac there.
That's
that might
true,
be okay.
too. Yeah.
So I'll figure that out. And then, Good Friday, I'll be walking the streets of Rocky River at noon with the parish, and then we have our Good Friday liturgy at 3. And then Saturday night, I'll be at St. Chris as well. So it'll be fun. Good times, and then preaching Sunday morning. Are you somewhere Easter Sunday morning?
St. James, 10:30.
Ah, very nice. Yeah. That'll be great. All
One
right.
of the gems of the diocese, to my mind. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so readings for this week. One of the things that I'm focusing on in my preaching this week is the 2 disciples run. They get the message from Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene ran as well. She ran from the tomb back to them. And these 2 disciples, the beloved disciple and Peter, they run. And then I say these are the first bros. One outrun. They make sure that they note in the gospel one outran the other. Mm-hmm. And he gets to the tomb. He doesn't know what to do. So Peter comes in and he runs right into the tomb. Mm-hmm. And then he looks around and sees all the wrappings on the floor, and he doesn't know what's going on. And then the beloved disciple walks in. He sees and he believes. I said, and they put all of that in there, all of that competition in there to make this story believable. Right? Because it's true.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need all those details in there, but they put them all in there because how human is that? And we're like this.
Yeah.
Right?
And another gloss is that John the Beloved is deferring to the authority of Peter because he's been marked as the leader. So even though he beats him there, it's his to, have a proper place within this structure the Lord set up, even though he's faster and younger.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And we all get to I say all the time, we all get to this in different ways. Some of us get this message faster than others.
Yeah.
Some people just showed up here today on Easter because they thought they'd try church today. Welcome them. Mm-hmm. We might have gotten there faster. They might get there they might show us something where we now understand the resurrection a little more deeply than we did before.
Yeah. I'm preparing, as I said, for Good Friday, so I'm looking at this Hebrews reading, and I love this line where we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has similarly been tested in every way, yet without sin. So just a reflection on the incarnation, that there's nothing Jesus has not experienced. He's still without sin, but he's even experienced the weight of sin, betrayal, denial, people abandoning him in the garden, falling asleep, crucifixion, death. Like there's nothing that's foreign to him. So he gets us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, happy Easter, my man.
Happy Easters.
It's pretty great. Do you have a favorite Easter candy?
No, I don't like candy. I mean, dark chocolate,
really?
But that's not an Easter candy.
That's an acquired taste, too. I'm not a fan.
it's like my personality. I like strong beer, strong drinks, strong bitter candy,
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not very sweet.
My house growing up, jelly beans were the thing, and my wife loves chocolate. So, in fact, our anniversary is Easter Sunday,
Oh,
so that'll be nice. 23 years, 25 together. We're married 2 years to the day that we met on Holy Thursday, I might add. So the Holy Week's always pretty special for us. But on Holy Saturday, the first time I met her, I gave her a little Easter bunny and a card, and she was so dumbfounded that I had given this to her that she didn't even say thank you, and she just kind of walked away over to one of her friends, and then she realized, oh, I didn't even thank him for this, and she turned around and said thanks. So Easter will be fun, but I would say I'm a jelly bean fan, and she's a chocolate fan. So there you go.
cool.
So we'll see you next time after Easter here on Question of Faith.